Welcome to my new series, Mysteries of the Mind. There is still so much we don't know about our own minds and why people do the things they do, both good and bad. Today we are going to explore DID, or Dissociative Identity Disorder, formerly known as Multiple Personality Disorder. Topics such as these are so vast and complex that I can only briefly graze the surface. I do not claim to be an expert, simply an advocate for the misunderstood. Dissociative identity disorder is thought to be a complex psychological condition that is likely caused by many factors, including severe trauma during early childhood, usually extreme repetitive physical, sexual, or emotional abuse. Most of us have experienced mild dissociation, which is like daydreaming or getting lost in the moment while working on a project. However, dissociative identity disorder is a severe form of disassociation, a mental process which produces a lack of connection in a person's thoughts, memories, feelings, actions, or a sense of identity. The dissociative aspect is thought to be a coping mechanism. The person literally disassociates himself from a situation or experience that's too violent, traumatic, or painful to assimilate with his conscious self. Many people wonder if dissociative identity disorder is real. After all, understanding the development of multiple personalities is difficult, even for highly trained experts. The diagnosis itself remains controversial among mental health professionals, and some experts believe that it is really an offshoot phenomenon of another psychiatric problem, such as borderline personality disorder, or the product of profound difficulties in coping abilities of stresses related to how people form trusting emotional relationships with others. Dissociative identity disorder is characterized by the presence of two or more distinct or split identities or personality states that continually have power over the person's behavior. With dissociative identity disorder, there's also an ability to recall key personal information that is too far-reaching to be explained as mere forgetfulness. With dissociative identity disorder, there are also highly distinct memory variations, which fluctuate with the person's split personality. The alters, or different identities, have their own age, sex, and even race. Each identity also has his or her own posture, gesture, and distinct way of talking. Sometimes the alters are imaginary people, sometimes they're animals. As each personality reveals itself and controls the individual's behavior and thoughts, it's called switching. Switching can take seconds to minutes to days. When under hypnosis, the person's different alters or identities may be very responsive to the therapist's requests. A few facts and myths about DID. One of the many myths about dissociative identity disorder is that people with this condition use it to try to get away with violence. The fact is, most of the identities taken on by a person are not violent. Another myth is it is incurable. The truth is, a person with DID can be treated through psychotherapy or EMDR, or eye movement desensitization and reprocessing. Another myth is that there are always distinct personalities that can easily be detected by others. But the truth is, it isn't always that obvious. There has been controversy over the misunderstanding of DID, specifically in regards to a recent movie on the subject titled Split. The movie is about 3 teenagers that are kidnapped and held captive by Dennis, one of 23 personalities present in the mind of Kevin Wendell Crumb, a victim of childhood abuse diagnosed with dissociative identity disorder. Over the years, Kevin had been treated by his psychiatrist and appears to be stable. During his therapy sessions, all of his personalities sit in chairs in a room, waiting for their turn in the light, i.e. controlling the body, while Barry controls who gets to go in the light. 2 personalities, Dennis and Patricia, are kept out because of Dennis's voyeuristic tendencies and obsessive-compulsive disorder, and both personalities worshiping of the Beast, a rumored 24th personality. Over the course of the movie, the 24th personality emerges and kills his therapist and 2 of the girls, sparing the 3rd girl when he realizes she has suffered enough in her lifetime and therefore is considered pure. The movie is entirely fiction, and cases involving extreme violence are rare. In an article from CNN on the subject matter specifically regarding the movie, one doctor explained, in contrast with McAvoy's character in the movie Split, people with DID who may represent over 1% of Americans are rarely violent. Research has shown that they are far more likely to hurt themselves than to hurt others. But movies tend to portray only the most extreme aspects of the disorder. The doctor goes on to explain that the condition is so rare that it was never even brought up in her training, and that reason may be why most medical professionals approach DID with skepticism. Another famous movie on the subject, titled Sybil from 1976, and also a remake of the movie in 2007, previously thought to be fiction, is a true story about a real person. Sybil, which is not the woman's real name, a troubled Columbia University art student and later student teacher, is referred to a psychiatrist by a colleague who believes the young woman is suffering from female hysteria. As her treatment progresses, Sybil confesses she frequently experiences blackouts and cannot account for large blocks of time. The psychiatrist helps her recall a childhood in which she suffered physical, emotional, and sexual abuse at the hands of her disturbed mother, Hattie. Eventually, 16 identities varying in age and personality traits begin to emerge. Chief among them is Victoria, a French woman who explains to the psychiatrist how she shepherds the many parts of Sybil's whole. The therapist's associates suspect she has influenced her patient into creating her other selves, and Sybil's father refuses to admit his late wife was anything other than a loving mother. Although she previously promised never to hypnotize Sybil, later in treatment the doctor takes her patient to her home by a lake and hypnotizes her into having all 16 personalities be the same age as she and become just aspects of Sybil. By nightfall, Sybil claims she feels different and emotionally declares her hatred toward her mother. The last part of the movie tells of the real woman who was known by the pseudonym of Sybil Dorset. I have left a link in the description box for the real Sybil if you would like to explore her and her life, as well as a few other links for you to expand on the topic, should you choose to do so. One of the first recorded cases of multiple personalities belonged to Frenchman Louis Vivent. Born to a prostitute in 1863, Vivent was neglected as a child. By the time he was 8, he had turned to crime. He was arrested and lived in a house of treatment into his late teens. When he was 17 years old, he was working in a vineyard and a viper wrapped itself around his left arm. While the viper didn't bite him, it terrified him so much that he had convulsions and psychosomatically became paralyzed from the waist down. While paralyzed, he was housed in an asylum, but after a year, he started walking again. Vivent now seemed like a completely different person. He didn't recognize any of the people at the asylum. His mood was much darker, and even his appetite was different. When he was 18, he was released from the asylum, but didn't stay out long. Over the next several years, Vivent was in and out of hospitals. During a stay between 1880 and 1881, he was diagnosed with multiple personalities. Using hypnosis and metal therapy, placing magnets and other metals on the body, a doctor discovered up to 10 different personalities, all with their own traits and history. Upon reviewing the case in later years, some experts believe he may have only had 3 personalities. The mind is a vast expanse we have yet to completely understand. Mankind has spent millions of dollars exploring the universe in hopes to find some other signs of life. We've scanned the globe seeking unknown truths about places unseen, plunged into the depths of the ocean exploring shipwrecks and creatures that reside in the dark waters. Yet we still have only begun to truly understand just a portion of the brain and all of the things it is truly capable of. This series is meant to not only explore the mind, but also hopes to serve to assist myself and others in better understanding psychological disorders and those that are afflicted or affected by them. My hope here is to bring topics to light that you may have only been exposed to or heard about on the news or in a movie that has no doubt only partially educated you and most definitely misled you to believe something about people that would like nothing more than to feel understood and to be heard. If you have a topic you would like to see featured here, please contact me through any of my social media links or email me at DuchessDark676@gmail.com. See you next time.